Hi everybody, Ken here with another lantern video for you today. I actually got a request from a subscriber of mine, wanted to know how to remove a burner off of a Dietz Acme Inspector. He sent me a comment the other day, and he goes by the name of Funnysings. And he wrote me, he said, really nice to see your lantern. I also have a Dietz Acme Inspector, and it belonged to his great-grandfather. And he was actually born in 1844 and passed away in 1921. Wow, that's really some time ago. And he feels very honored to have the lantern. He's had it for quite some time, you know, but he hasn't seen it or lit since the 1980s. And he says because his dad worked on some time and filled it with oil, and he discovered a leak in it. And he also wants to know how to remove the burner in it. So I haven't actually responded to him yet because it would be a quite lengthy response, so I decided maybe I'll do a video on it instead. And so what we got here is my Acme Inspector, and what I'm going to do is talk about how to remove the burner. Now I haven't really quite done this opposite of facing me, but I'm going to try to do it the best I can facing the camera. So basically the way I do it, I mean, is I tend to pull out the globe. There's a little lift lever here which has a wire wrap around the top of the globe, and basically what you want to do is kind of pull out the globe, and what I do is then I raise it up here, and there's a little wing lock cone on the bottom, actually, if we can get a shot of that. And then what you have to do is you have to go in the direction of the open segment to the burner, which in this way is going to be actually, I guess, clockwise. I'm spinning it, and it's just like a 1/16 of a turn, and then basically it kind of just comes out. And mine has oil in it here, and that's why I've got a piece of cardboard on my pool table. But anyway, it's not really hard to do unless, of course, it's rusted up or seized up, which a lot of cases these old lanterns can be. Let me give you a little closer view, because I don't know how well that came out on camera with the wing lock burner there, but yeah, if you can see how the tab just kind of sits underneath there, and what you want to do is just kind of give it a twist like that to free up the burner, and that's basically, see what you're looking for. You're trying to free these tabs from underneath, if I can explain it to you a little better. And then as it goes back in, and it's just a little bit of counterclockwise, and it locks it back in. So what I like to do is talk about what to do in that case, and as well as addressing the pinholes in the bottom. Now, assuming that they are just pinholes, I mean, what I typically do is, if it's anything, say, larger than a couple millimeters in diameter, and if you are going to paint the lantern, or maybe not even paint it, but if it's a hole that big, it should really be soldered. I mean, solder is kind of the best way of really fixing that. But if it's just a couple small pinholes, what you could really do, I mean, there's a couple products out there on the market that I've used. One product being POR15 or POR15. I don't know if it's how it's actually pronounced, but I guess it's POR15. But that tends to be expensive, and there's some quirks with it as well. I mean, you kind of have to use it all in one shot, because it tends to seal itself back together, and it's a little hard to use, and you know, it can be expensive and difficult to use. But also, what I found out later on is there's a product called Seal All, which is basically the same type of product, and it comes in a tube, and you can actually use the whole tube inside the font. But be sure to clean it out first. I mean, what I would do first is take a good flashlight and look in there and be sure there's not a lot of rust inside. Make sure it's pretty clean and shiny. If it's not, if there is rust inside, you probably should use maybe like a white vinegar soak on it to remove a lot of the rust and really clean it out well. And then what I tend to do personally, though, is I take a dry lantern and I fill it with water. Actually, I take it to the sink, or use a funnel, or use a hose. But what you want to do is very carefully put water in without trying to spill it anywhere else around the lantern, because you want to actually find out where the leaks could be. And if it's just a couple pinholes, what I do is I'll hold up the lantern like this after I fill it maybe about 2/3 of water, and you might see a couple little drips coming out. And what I do is I just take a Sharpie marker, and you know, just try to make little circles around, you know, where the drips are coming from, to locate them. Then after that, you want to dry out, you want to dump out the water and dry your lantern. I mean, really dry it well. I mean, maybe like with a hair dryer for like a good 20 minutes, but blowing air. You want this thing like totally dry. And then what I would do is take maybe some masking tape or painter's tape and cover up those holes where you find that it's leaking from. And then take your tube of Seal-All and squirt it in your fuel cap there, where your fuel cap is, and kind of let it work its way around there, and then let it dry for a good couple of days. You're going to have to really, you know, drying is the key to fixing these holes. You're going to have to let that dry. Then you could check it again, and you could do, I mean, I always do the water test, water being the easiest thing, because if it leaks, you're not going to have any kind of a mess or any kind of worry, you know, to clean it up. But like I said, if these holes are, or if they're larger than 2-3 millimeters, you know, it might not work for you. You might have to find somebody who can solder this thing for you. But once you get it sealed up, and you know it's good to go, and then you know you can put your oil or kerosene in it. And then the other thing, what I in the beginning when I talked about a seized burner, where you know sometimes these things are just so rusted you just can't get the burner out of them. So then what I do is I actually use a 50-50 mix of transmission fluid and acetone. I mix it up 50-50 and pour it right in there. And then what I do is I actually turn the lantern upside down, and I use like a garbage can with a lot of rags or you know paper towels already in it, so that if it does leak, you know, it's not going to create a mess. And I let that soak real good in there, and usually within 15 minutes you grab it and start wiggling around, and it'll usually pop right off for you if it's seized. But like I said, pretty much the key is, you know, cleaning. Make sure it's clean before you use the Seal-All, and dry. It has to be clean, dry. And like I said, locate those holes use your Sharpie. Cover them up with tape, because when you do put the Seal-All in, you don't want that to leak out as well. You want it to stay right there. Seal your holes up, and then you know, depending on the wick, you might have to purchase a new wick for it as well, or if it even has a wick. A lot of these old lanterns don't even have wicks, or sometimes people reverse the spinner here, and they end up falling out and going into the font. I mean, I've purchased lanterns like that too. You could shake it around and hear it in there, and look in there at a flashlight. If they're in there, you could usually fish them out with a pair of needle nose pliers or whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. And you know, I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for subscribing. Thank you to my new subscribers that I've gotten a few in the past, and wish everybody well. Hope everybody's doing fine. And I think I'll wrap things up with that. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.